Good morning. We say we are civilized. We say we are believers in the human rights. We say that this is an age of enlightenment, an age of compassion. We say that we shall protect every human being and treat every human being as a human being. And yet, today in this world, one Canada plus half Canada, that's 1.5 Canada, the population of equal to 1.5 Canada is slave. Can you believe that there is slavery in this age? And 45.8 million people are slaves globally. And 58% of these people are living in India, China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Uzbekistan. These 5 countries constitute 58% of 45.8 million people who are slaves, who are treated worse than human beings. However, if we compare population to the number of slaves, then the top goes to North Korea, followed by Uzbekistan. It's bad. It's revolting. It's disgusting. Can you believe that in North Korea, 4.3% of the population is slave? Uzbekistan, 3.97%. Cambodia, 1.65%. That's a percentage. And in absolute numbers, India tops. It has more people in slavery than any other country. 18.3 million people in India. And agreed, there have been steps taken. Agreed that people don't like it, but yet it exists. And it's a great industry. Can you believe it? It's a profit center. The total business, the total number of money generated from slavery is $150 billion a year. $150 billion. This is equal more than the GDP of all African countries combined. You have the GDP of all the African countries, and the money generated from slavery is more than that. It is 3 times Apple's revenue. So what a lucrative thing. 45.8 billion people generating 150 billion people at the cost of their dignity, at the cost of their freedom, at the cost of being non-human, leading sub-animal life, not even at animal level. Can you believe that 21 million people are globally, 21 million people are exploited, forced to work without wages, what you call in India the bonded slaves, the criminals, the gangs, the sex workers, the sex gangs, the prostitution, and sex trafficking includes 1.8 million people. Can 1.8 million children exploited sexually as slaves? Can there be anything more shocking? And it is amazing. The imagination staggers. One can't imagine the colossal waste of human power, degradation of humanity, and yet we are enlightened. Yet we believe in democracy. Yet we believe in the dignity of man. Yet we say that all world is a humanity. What humanity are we talking about when 45.8 million people are slaves? The risk of slavery is not reducing, it's increasing. Countries like North Korea, Iraq, Syria, Sudan, Southern Sudan, Congo, Somalia, Yemen, these are the countries which are giving more birth to the slavery. These are the countries which are the breeding grounds of slavery today, and I have not counted India as that, where it's increasing, as I told you earlier, that India leads in absolute numbers. Some governments are doing something. Last year, Britain passed an anti-slavery law, and they said any company having $47 million worth of assets, if they use slavery in the supply chains, they will not be allowed to market their products. But the point arises, the slavery exists, whether in the supply chains or in the manufacturer. How are you going to know about it? South Sudan, Congo, North Korea, they are one of the largest producers. For example, Congo produces maximum cobalt, which is used as electronics. Now, ultimately, when the slaves are producing cobalt and you are using it in electronics, the link would be broken somewhere. So the laws passed by England would remain a dead letter. They'll be applicable only if you can find the source. So there's slavery in Congo, then electronics are assembled in South Korea, some assembly is there, then in India, or wherever it is. So in one form or the other, slavery is being used, and all that will be of no effort. There are two heavyweights in the world today, India and China. And they have an extreme risk of using slaves in their supply chains. Another country which is using is Ivory Coast, leading country of cocoa producing, used in chocolate. You and I enjoy it. Do we know that what we are enjoying is the sweat, blood, and tears of these poor exploited slaves, exploited physically, exploited sexually, exploited financially, exploited in each and every manner. Sometimes I wonder that to what degradation we are going on to. European Union says that they are a medium risk, but they are enjoying it. The fruits of slavery are being enjoyed by the most advanced countries, and without the blinking of an eye. Can we remove slavery? Yes, we can, provided we have the will to do so. You see, nothing is impossible if a man wants to do something. If the governments and the political leaders want to do it. But would they do it? They are the partakers of the crime, the benefits of slavery. Why should they remove slavery? Outsidely, they pose as the most saintly people, dedicated to the good of the people. Inside, they are rotten. And each one of them, some exceptions might be there, but there are 5 ways it can be removed. Treat slavery like a crime. Till today, we have not treated it as a crime. And it should be a crime with a capital punishment. You kill one person and you are given electrocution or hanging. You kill millions and you earn money and are respected as a business tycoon or as a great benefactor of humanity. Why? First thing is, let it be a law in each and every country that anybody who has a slave or creates a slave or uses slavery as a means to enhance his wealth shall be stripped off of his citizenship, stripped of his rights as a human being, and punished. The deterring effect of severest possible punishment is one way. You see, let's not forget, slavery is considered as an extreme form of poverty than a crime. We say the person is very poor. Then what the hell are the governments doing? They can spend millions and billions on refugees and terrorists, but they cannot save these 45 million, or rather 46 million, 45.8 million slaves. It's impossible. Slavery is growing because it's profitable. So you have got to see that the traffickers and slaves, they are caught, they are prosecuted and given a punishment that sends shivers down the spine of anybody who even thinks of using slavery and reaping its benefit. You see, let's be very clear that anti-poverty strategies are good, but they are not sufficient to remove slavery. They are only good for the people who are poor, but they are not slaves. There's a difference. Let's not forget the difference. It's a very subtle difference, but it's there. All slaves are poor, but all poor are not slaves. We have got to have specific strategies to remove slavery. As I said, make it a crime, not only to employ a slave, but also for anybody using the product produced by a slave should be a crime. The transmission of slavery benefits should be a crime. Second, we talk of the MDGs and SDGs, Millennium Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals. They are on paper, make them a reality. The SDG 8.7 can become a reality, and it's a prohibition and elimination of child labor, child soldiers. I'm amazed. Everybody knows, for example, in India, you cannot produce silk unless you exploit child labor and use them as slaves. The perfume sticks, agabatis, they are used by that. The hosiery industry, the silk industry, the carpet weaving industry, the beadi industry, the bangle industry, all are dependent on the slavery of the children. Second, create a special fund. And you see, we have funds for everything. Why can't we fund anti-slavery measures in a sustained and consistent manner? Let the government be engaged in clean supply chain conversation. You know, what happens is the government passes a law, appoints an inspector, but there is no proper conversation between the government at the governmental level to ensure a task force. As a matter of fact, in each police force there should be a special unit looking into the supply chain arrangements of each business activity. Go to the root and strike there. You know, we talk of going into Middle East, bombing them because we don't want their way of living. We don't want their way of administration. Have we ever done anything to act against those governments which are inefficient and are not eradicating slavery? We have not, because that doesn't help us. We can replicate what has worked. Can you believe it? If we could have eradicated malaria, eradicated tuberculosis, plague, these were the great things, and we have eradicated them. On the same war footing, we can definitely eradicate slavery. This scourge of the modern world, this hidden ulcer which is afflicting the people, the body politic globally, and yet people don't talk about it. I have yet to see a single UN action or a single day devoted in Security Council discussing slavery, which affects 45.8 million people. We talk of things which are not feasible or have no meaning. But when it comes to the concrete things, we are stricken paralysis. We are stricken with a paralysis. Why? We are deaf and dumb, mute. Why? The governments all over have to wake up. The conscience of the people has to wake up and ensure that the slavery, which is a stigma on the fair name of being called Homo sapien, is removed. Slavery was a curse, is a curse, and shall continue to be a curse, howsoever enlightened we may be, or we may presume ourselves to be, till we take effective steps to curb it, and we are not doing that. As I said, till today I am to see a single session of General Assembly of UNO or a single section of the Security Council devoted to this sector. I am yet to see World Economic Forum discuss slavery in its annual jamboree at Davos. We talk of other things and we ignore a major issue which, as I said earlier, afflicts half the population of USA, equal to that. 1.5 times the population of Canada. To what depth have we descended? Have we a right to be called human beings? Have our leaders a right to be called enlightened leaders? They have lost all right to do that. And yet, there is nary a murmur of protest. There is no social conscience which is disturbed by this horrendous slavery of human beings. Wish human beings were human and not a herd of either dumb-driven cattle or tyrants, bloodsuckers, leeches, and jackals yapping at even the dead bodies. Well, I want to wish you a good day, but what about good day to these 45.8 million people? You have to act. Who knows? You or someone near or dear to you might fall a victim to one of the traffickers and become a slave. Act today, lest you should repent that day. Bye.